blanket, laying all up on me right
Oh
now.
no, you gotta have that water. You gotta have that water and say something kind about
I
yourself
plan
first.
on it, but kind of hard when you got three cats on you, just burying you in the bed.
I hear that. I hear that. What did you want to add to the conversation this morning?
Well, I am pro, do you, but don't bring the felon in the office when I mean, how is he going how are you even going to handle him having these national secrets while he's a felon?
Well, I mean, he's not even going to be able to go to some state to some countries.
Countries, I think
Yeah,
he's banned from like 32 countries
39.
right now.
Yeah, 39 countries. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. Hey, listen, the plan is to protect white supremacy at all costs, quite literally.
Yeah.
It's just like
The plan is to guard
he
white
should have never
supremacy.
been in the office
This
in
is
the
the
first
death
place.
throes of white supremacy, and the plan is to guard it at all costs.
He should have never been in office in the first place. He's just made from even just from an
Hey,
international
listen. Hey, hold
standpoint.
on 1 second. Somebody said, "Oh, give me a break. Don't supremacy I see as black." I don't know what that means, but come up here, friend, and tell me what black supremacy looks like. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear anybody be able to substantiate a claim that black
I'm
supremacy
not going to
is a thing.
substantiate the claim. I've heard that the word of that being called Hotepin. I That is just an observation I'm making, but I'm not saying that I'm not supporting it, and I'm not making the
Somebody
claim
said the
either.
Bureau of Land Management, I guess. So no, that's not true. Democrats didn't enslave black people. White Americans enslaved black people. White
Hmm.
Americans started the Triple K, and even more so than that, the Confederate ex-Confederate soldiers specifically. Ex-Confederate soldiers specifically started the Triple K. And you know what's funny about the Confederate soldiers, right? They had this flag. I don't know if you've ever seen it before. But they had this flag that well, the Confederate soldiers of Virginia specifically had this battle flag, right? And then at some point in history, right, the daughters of the Confederacy said, you know what? We should bring that back. That point in history was like right around the civil rights movement, right? And those same people that are saying that the Democrats, right, uh, fought to enslave black people or were enslaving black people are the same people waving that flag today.
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 Yeah.
So either you're trying to convince me that all of those people in the South moved away, like to the North or something, or what you're saying is that at some point, those people who in the South were Dixiecrats have now, you know what I'm saying, adopted the Republican Party because both the Dixiecrats and the Republicans are conservatives. But I don't
Ooh,
know.
I have a political question. I have one.
Who
Was
sold the black
there is
people? Portuguese first, then the Spaniards, and then the Dutch, and then the British. And the British said, you know what? We're going to make this a thing. So hopefully that answers that question. Hold on one
Mr.
second. I
Jones?
want to introduce the
Sure.
other guest, and then I'll come right back to you. Trace, good morning. How are you? Have you had some water and said something kind about yourself this morning?
Hi, Mr. Jones. Good morning. Hi, Miss Fox, Queen. Good morning. I wanted to say hi to you because I listen to you all the time. I wanted to ask you something. I forgot what I was going to ask you. I'm going crazy here. I listening to you. I'm 61 years old. I'm a
Okay.
gay black man outside of Philadelphia. I'm 61, so I grew up in an era back in the late 60s, one of the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't understand the part about racism none whatsoever until I got a little bit older. Until my parents taught me what was going on
Right,
in the
right.
world. You know, and now where I live at here, I live in a big, huge Republican area, which I really don't give a rat's ass about these son of a bitches.
Understood.
You know,
Tap that
because I
skate vote.
always tell them, and I tell my neighbors, right? I tell my neighbors, listen to me. I say, you're a Trump supporter, you're a racist, and that's all that's to it. You can't. And I always ask them, you got to prove me wrong because so far you have not.
What the only thing that I
You
can
know,
say for certain is you're at minimum, you're at least okay with racism. At minimum, you're okay
yeah,
with its
yeah,
existence.
yeah,
You're okay with the, you know what I'm saying, the effects it has on the community. You might not go out and actively, participate. You're not wearing the robe or burning crosses or anything of that nature, but you're okay with
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. And because I remember one time, I guess she was telling me that her dad likes to use the N word, and I told him, I said, let me tell you something. He can use all he wants, but I don't want to hear it. First of all, my if I said it in front of my mom would slap the daylights out of me.
Right.
She
Guys, ain't
wasn't a
nobody worried
fan
about
of using
Shane.
the N
Shane
word.
just wants attention. Hey, listen, guys, you know the drill. If they're not willing to come up, just mute them. Nobody cares what they have to say in the chat. Like, literally, nobody cares. Nobody cares about your thumb thugging or your whining or your complaining. If you don't want to engage in adult conversation, you don't have to be here. Nobody's
Exactly.
forcing you to. Nobody's forcing you. Mr.
You know,
Thomas, I'm going to come to you in just a second. Lord, I don't know what the rest of his name says, and I don't feel like looking at it. Had some comments that he made before requesting up. So I'll come right back to you. Good morning, Lord. How are you? Have you had some water? Have you said something kind about yourself?
Absolutely.
Glad to hear
Every
that.
day's a good day.
I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. Is there any medication you're supposed to take? Want to make sure that we're all taking our medication.
I think I'm good.
Good, good, good. What did you want to add to the conversation this morning?
I'm just curious. I'm assuming with this conversation, you guys are probably pro reparations.
Pro reparations. I mean, I think. To be honest with you, I think that all other, groups harmed by America or as a byproduct of American actions have been paid reparations.
Have already been paid reparations?
Absolutely, Jewish people, Japanese people, the largest nations, the 5 civilized nations of the indigenous peoples. But yes, many, and even the people who owned slaves were paid reparations. They were paid restitution for lost property.
So you don't think
What are reparations? So that because I'm not familiar with that topic.
Yeah, so it'll be essentially restoring, the labor that was stolen for generations after generations of people. But even more so than that, like if we were to skip slavery at all altogether, I'd be completely okay with that. Like ignore slavery. You're right; it was a long time ago, and we effectively, have moved to a point where chattel slavery, as it were, doesn't exist, but slavery still does because the 13th Amendment codified it. But at least the chattel slavery, where like if I was enslaved, my children can't also be enslaved, at least not directly, right? And so I would be okay with us saying, hey, let's move away from that. But you can't move away from the black codes or the Jim Crow era or redlining or, on the job discrimination, not allowing for voter rights acts. Like you can't move away from all of those things that have caused, I would say, even further and more extensive and had a much larger impact on black and brown people in this country. And you can't say that was that long ago because quite literally my parents went to segregated schools.
I did too.
Yeah.
how are black and brown people having their voter rights suppressed?
Oh, that's easy. Hey, guys. Hey, Fox, I'd love to keep you up, but I want to keep my panel relatively small, and my co-host is going to show up soon. And also, Trace, you're welcome back anytime. Thank you for coming up. And, when we have, like, some open panel, I'd be more than happy to have you back. So your question one more time, just to make sure everybody heard it.
I was asking, so how are black and brown people voter rights being suppressed?
Gotcha. So the 1964 Voting Rights Act had some stipulations, right, called preclearance. And those preclearance stipulations meant that states that had a history of passing discriminatory voting laws or having discriminatory voting practices would need preclearance, right, from the federal government prior to changing their voting districts or changing their voting laws, or anything that would further subjugate or impact POC voters, right? Nope, 1904, 1964 Voting Rights Act, right? And in 2016, both Section 4 and Section 5 of the 1964 Voting Rights Act were removed. And subsequently, over 1,000 polling locations were closed across the entirety of the United States, and every single one of them being in predominantly minority communities. Every single one of them. And then we saw the influx of voter ID laws that have already been deemed unconstitutional multiple times. And then we saw them changing laws, continuing to gerrymandering past constitutional limitations. And then we see them not even allowing water or aid to be provided for people standing in line. Some of these people could be 80 plus years old, and in addition to that, if you're removing voter registration, if you're moving polling locations, right, and you're having over 2 million people vote at a single voting location, making lines substantially longer, trying to deter people in those marginalized communities from voting. And it's, and they're tired of standing out there. Some of them could have diabetic conditions, so on and so forth. And you're saying, you can't even give them water or a snack, or you'll be fined and or arrested. So if you're asking me how minorities are being disenfranchised in terms of voting, well, that's just the beginning.
But that's all complete hyperbole. That absolutely, I live in a city that minority is the majority. And there's absolutely no signs of anyone passing out in lines, not being able to. Isn't it upon the individual's responsibility if they know they're going to go to a voting registration or a voting poll place? Isn't it
So
their
why would they pass
responsibility?
legislation saying that you can't give people water or snacks in line?
Isn't it their
Answer the
responsibility to
question.
take
Why
water?
would they make it a stipulation that you
Isn't
can't
it
pass
the
out snacks or
individual's
water?
responsibility to take their own water?
Absolutely, sure. Again,
Okay,
why would they be
great.
making
There's
legislation?
your answer.
Why would they be
There's the
making
answer.
legislation? Why would they be making legislation preventing it then, if it's not that big a deal?
Well, it's not that big a deal if they take their own water. So your whole crux of your argument is people aren't getting water.
That's
And let me
not
ask
no.
you
That
this.
hold on,
So-
hold on,
so
hold on,
additional-
hold on. Nice attempt at a straw man. Nice attempt at a straw man. Not what I said. I was just adding that as an additional, implication. Like what I said was the 1964 and 1965 Voting Rights Acts had sections stripped of them so that they could continue further disenfranchise black voters, like changing the voting districts, like removing polling locations, like attempting to change voting laws that have already been deemed unconstitutional by literally going and researching, having companies research what identification black people are least likely to have, and then making them mandatory forms of identification by purging voter rolls indiscriminately. So don't try to make the crux of my fucking argument water.
I forgot. The second part of the crux is they moved the polling
There's
station.
not two parts of a crux, friend.
They moved it. They moved the voting
only one.
location. So therefore, are you saying
Did I
that
say move
black
the
and
polling
brown
locations,
people,
or did I say
so
closing
you're saying
them?
Are you saying black and brown people can't move within a city? They don't know how to get to another voting location?
Okay. So when you know that people are living in impoverished areas, right, and not all of them have access to motor vehicles, and then you try to pass legislation that says that you can't bus people to said voting locations, or if you're putting those voting locations 30 to 45 minutes outside of the area that they live in, knowing that most of them have to go to most of them knowing that you have to go to Shelby County, Alabama. Alabama. So knowing that you have to go to work
Name
that
the location.
day, and
Name someone
I
who
just
couldn't
answered you,
travel.
Shelby County, Alabama.
Names
Knowing
how that affected the
so
people
you're not
in
hearing
Shelby,
good faith. I got it. Okay, so you're not hearing good faith.
Dude, it is good faith.
No, it's
You
not.
just
You're
don't-
making yourself look like an idiot in front of, nearly 600 people, to be honest with you.
You just don't like the answers that they're
You
playing the
haven't
victim
given
role.
any answers. You haven't
You
countered
don't like to
anything
play.
other than
You
your
just
nervous
enjoy
laughter,
playing the
which just
victim
makes you
role.
look weird, my friend.
Weird or logical.
No, it makes you look
You're
illogical.
being
I don't know. Let's take a poll. Let's take a poll.
logical
Let's take a
because
poll.
your crux of your argument
Was
is
water, I
water,
know.
and they moved the voting location.
That wasn't you. You
And so
obviously.
people had in today's
Hey guys,
society.
if his
people
argument
can't
is the
move.
logical one, hit the
People
sad
can't
face.
move.
If it's
Now,
not,
let
hit
me
the
ask you
smiley
this.
face.
Now let me get this.
So
So
if he's
next
the
you're
illogical
gonna say
one,
people don't have voter IDs, correct? I'm sure that's probably another one of your problems, that you don't think people can get IDs. Are you saying brown and black people don't have the intelligence to get an ID?
you don't have the intelligence to track this conversation.
Now you're getting personal. So I just won.
What am I not? No, I'm not getting personal.
You're
I'm
getting
being.
personal.
This is an astute characterization
lied.
of the conversation that we're having.
This is typical.
This is an astute
typical.
characterization of the conversation
when
that we're
someone
having.
is totally tearing down this victim
You're
role,
not.
this
You're not.
victim
And look at
role
the poll, friend.
mentality,
Look at the
you
poll.
you take
Look at the poll.
a personal swipe.
That's not a
Dude,
personal swipe. Listen, if I am ascertaining,
poll,
if I'm
a poll
ascertaining
on the
based on the
internet with
conversation that we're
strangers?
having, if anyone can ascertain from the conversation that we are having that you are not intellectually capable or purposely being obtuse when having this conversation. That's all that's being said. Because when I explain to you that if you're moving polling locations outside of a person's, outside of a 20-minute to 30-minute ride, right? Outside of a 20 to 30-minute ride from someone's home, right? Knowing that those people have jobs that they have to attend, knowing that quite often those employers are not going to give them time off or use the excuse that I had to go vote, not making it voting a federal holiday so that people, so that all people could actually be guaranteed to have the day off or that opportunity to vote. Then you know that it's being intentional. Because if it wasn't intentional, why wouldn't you close the polling locations in predominantly white areas? Why wouldn't you close polling locations in predominantly affluent white areas? Why would you only close the polling locations in areas where it's mostly minorities? Why would you purposely go and research documentation that black and brown people are least likely to have and make those the necessary forms of documentation? Now, if we're looking at people that were born in my parents' era and eras prior to them, so boomers and silent generation, then quite frequently black and brown people were born in the home and didn't even have birth certificates. So you're eliminating a certain population of people there. And then, we move forward to say, well, then you have to have this driver's license, and then you impose court fines on them for traffic violations and things of that nature. And those fines, if not paid, take away your driver's license. And if you don't have your driver's license, well, then you can't vote. And in some states, in Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, you cannot even get a walker's ID in certain municipalities until said fines are paid. So again, either you are intellectually incapable of having this conversation or you are intentionally being intellectually dishonest. And that's why Section 4 and Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act existed, specifically for those reasons. Specifically for those reasons.
All right. Are you going to stop muting? Are you going to stop muting?
As long as you stop cutting me off.
That's the only way you want to talk.
As long as you stop cutting me off.
So let me ask you this. So tell me one person who wasn't able to go vote. Tell me one person who wasn't able to go vote with their work.
You got a huge echo.
Tell me one person, one company that doesn't let people go vote. With addition, you obviously gloss over the fact that there's early voters registration or absentee voters registration. You completely gloss over that. You come up with these complete hyperbolic scenarios of making stuff up. That's like saying, what if a monkey jumped out of a tree and bit me on the way to voting? That is ridiculous. You're victim. Oh, now you're Googling it.
I'm not Googling anything. I'm typing something on my computer. I'm responding to something.
You're Googling it. Bro, you just are playing the victim role. None of this stuff exists. None of it exists.
All of it.
Host, good.
Nah, you can let it exists. I've already explained in
It
various ways
doesn't
how it
exist.
exists.
There's no examples. You just talk about it and make claims. Who
Do
does
I
that?
still
Who's
have an echo,
writing?
Jones? Do I still have an
Yes, you
echo?
do. Yes, you do.
All right,
Hey,
I'll drop
Darren
it.
Barber, thank you for the $25 Cash App. I do appreciate your support. Hey, just drop and come right back, Auntie.
All right, thanks, love.
Yeah.
Good morning, host. Can I say a few words, if you don't mind?
Are you talking? Do you want to say them to me? I do want to
No,
respond.
I want to say them to Lord, actually.
Okay.
Actually, it's not hyperbole. These are all facts that the host is stating.
I'm
Just
very
because just because you're saying that they're not true doesn't make it so. All right? There's facts and then there's opinions. And that's the problem. The false propaganda in this country, and you guys monopolize, just like Trump did with lying 35 times in that stupid debate that he was in. You, sir, are a major part of the problem here, which is false propaganda in this country.
Hey, let me tell you something.
That's what the
Hold on
problem
one second.
is,
Hold on one
buddy.
second. Hold on one second,
All right?
Nick.
And
Not
white
Nick. Not Nick.
supremacists-
Not Nick.
Yeah.
Not Nick. Hold on one second. Hey guys, listen. We are all adults, right? We are all adults. There's no reason in the world why we can't be respectful of other people's voices and their time. Lord, I have no problem with you, saying the things that you want to say. The major part of my platform is allowing all sides to say their piece and speak their piece. But at the very least, just let people talk and stop interrupting them. Because, I mean, I can even get my children to operate in that manner.
Mr. Jones,
Okay,
the situation is this. We are playing by the rules. They are not. White supremacists throughout the last 400 years have done this. Okay, and I have to disagree with you. We can't forget about slavery because of what was done. I don't know where this guy lives, but I live in very close to a city, and minorities aren't the majority, like he wants to say. This is the problem in this country, is we have to criminalize false propaganda. You know, freedom of speech is one thing, but when freedom of speech
Lord's
interferes,
entire following list is underage girls? Yeesh.
yes, it is.
That's crazy.
Yes, it is. But I mean, it's a major problem, but that's not the point I want to make here. The problem in this country is the false propaganda, and they're following the same playbook as 1930, 1940 Germany. They're following the exact same playbook. If you look at the 14 facets of tenets of fascism.
Yeah, I'm very well versed in that. I
They
wrote my
follow
thesis on it.
every single point. They just got crushed in Britain. They just got crushed in France. And I'm hoping that they get crushed again here. They lost the Civil War. They lost in Nazi Germany. And they're going to lose again. And I'm really hopeful that it's going to be a loss of a huge landslide with these people. I'm sick and tired of hearing these YT people interfering in the diversity of this country. I go to New York City like 3 times a week, and I love New York City because of that fact. This guy is a schmuck. I'm sorry, sir. You can't be nice to fascists. You cannot be nice. You have to fight fire with fire. That's the way I feel. I love MLK and saying what he did peacefully, and they unalived him. That's what these guys do, and I'm convinced that it was done. Look at what happened in 2015. The membership in the Triple K quadrupled because of this orange piece of shit. That's how I feel.
Yeah. So I just want to pull up this news article because this is what I wanted folks to see since we're on the subject.
What a creep! What a creep!
Well, I mean, when you don't have anything intelligible to add to the conversation, nervous laughter ensues because this is having an amygdala response. Anything that goes against, your core values or your core beliefs, sets off your fight or flight receptors. And I understand where it's coming from, and that's why
You're very intelligent, host. You're very intelligent.
So this talks about how a Jim Crow era strategy blocked 4.6 million people from voting in 2022, right? And 48 U.S. states are still practicing these things. And this is from the Center of Public Integrity. So go and guys, if you want to do your own research, and I always encourage you to do so, go and look up how a Jim Crow era strategy blocked 4.6 million people from voting in 2022. And read this article. And it tells you about how the midterm elections were swayed because of these practices, right? So now, if we just look to the state of Florida, over 500,000, that's 500,000 black people were arbitrarily removed from the voter rolls simply because they didn't vote in a previous election or they said they couldn't verify their address. But no notices were sent out to these individuals to let them know that they were going to be moved from the voter rolls. They just arbitrarily removed them. And because pre-clearance was removed from the Voting Rights Act, it gave them, the ability to engage in these practices. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to put the green screen back up. But he doesn't have anything to refute these arguments. He just simply says it's hyperbolic in nature. No counterpoints, no means by which to refute it. Just claims of it being hyperbolic. Now, if you want to provide sources that refute the information that I've provided, I'd be more than happy to look it up and highlight it in the same manner that I just put my information up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's completely easy. You don't think one person would have sued the government if his voting rights were suppressed? Nick, here, I got something for Nick.
Yeah, hold on. There has lawsuits have been filed.
Okay.
That's how they
Okay,
determine.
great.
And here, I'm going to show you one of them.
Great.
I'm going to show you one
Hey,
of them right
Nick.
now.
Nick, are you in favor for reparations, Nick?
Absolutely.
How would you go about that, Nick?
Bone, you got a bad echo.
How would you go about that, Nick? Nick, how would you go about giving out reparations?
Why would you ask Nick specifically?
I answered the question. I don't know if I was muted at the time. How would I go about it? It's not up to me. But I believe in reparations, and I believe that there should be intelligent people deciding it. Not you.
Oh, okay. So, Nick,
Yeah.
so tell me, how many states were actually involved in slavery?
All of them.
That's wrong. How many states were in the United States when there was slavery?
I don't know. Why don't you
In
educate me because
1865?
you're so intelligent?
And
I'm
you-
sure
so
many of these southern states.
this is my
Maybe
perfect
the
example.
Triple K states.
This is
all
my
10 of them.
this is a perfect example of hyperbolic how uneducated you people are. And I mean that.
And
All
you're
you
educated.
people are uneducated. There were only 36 states in the Union.
I don't understand what your point is. All of
Hey.
the states benefited from slavery. Did he get removed?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Oh,
I have
People,
really
the
quick,
good
really
people
quick,
in the
Nick.
comments
guys, don't
probably removed
report,
them.
man. That's terrible. Oh, no, he's back.
Nick, really quick, before you guys start talking, please stop over talking. Please stop laughing at each other. You have to mute if the other person is speaking. It is so hard to hear in the comments. If a moderator mutes you, that means someone else is speaking and you need to let them speak.
Yeah.
It's getting really frustrating trying to hear back and forth. I don't care who you are. It's so hard. So just stay muted or speak when you're speaking.
So first and foremost, I just want to point out, I'm going to let Lord back up here in just a second, that there were 23 states in the Union at the start of the Civil War. 23, not 36. And all states, and I do mean every single state in America, has benefited from the subjugation of Black, brown, and indigenous peoples of color, right? All of them. By way of, because people are under the impression like that the 13th Amendment somehow ended slavery, and it did not. It codified slavery. It codified slavery in the manner in which, and I guess people haven't read the 13th Amendment, right? But if you read the 13th Amendment, and I'm going to read it out so that we're all on the same page and we're not, the 13th Amendment specifically says, neither slave nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for crime whereof the party shall be duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Now, what that means is that now I can create laws that specifically target certain demographics. Here's a perfect example of this: the 94 crime bill, right? So I can purposely create laws that are going to subjugate and criminalize Black and brown individuals, taking away their freedom and their right to vote and forcing them into involuntary servitude. That's simple.
Yeah, you're completely wrong. There were actually 34 states.
It was not
15 states were slave states. So give you a perfect
All of them
example.
benefited.
So like Oh my God! So a state like California, Nevada. So what Nick is saying is he wants to take people who didn't participate in slavery,
Did
where
Nick
there was
say
no
that? Did
slaves.
Nick say
There
that?
were no slaves.
Did Nick
You're over
actually say
talking
that?
me. Why are you over talking me?
This is my
Why are
platform, but you
why are
said that
over
because
talking
I'm
me?
not going to
Why
allow
are you
you.
over
I'm not going to
talking
allow
me?
you to say that
Why are
he
you
said
over
something he
talking
didn't
me?
say.
Exactly, because that's the way you people are. Victim role, and you want to over talk.
No, he didn't say that. All I'm saying is Nick never said that. That's all I said. So if we're going to make claims, those claims have to be fair and accurate. So I have the right to interject in those instances.
Your whole premise is completely false and wrong. You guys are uneducated. You have no clue. So
What's
you
your
want to take
degree
a state like California,
Yes.
who didn't have slaveries, who people didn't buy slaves or trade slaves, and you want to make them to pay reparations to
Yes.
people who were never slaves by people who were never owned slaves.
Yes, because I made it very clear that if we eliminate
Ex-
slavery, I made it very clear and this is what I'm saying. You're being intellectually dishonest. You're not listening. I made it
that's the
very clear
victim role.
that if we throw out slavery entirely and we look at all of the subsequent laws, legislation, and practices that took place in our banking industry, our health care industry, the fact that black people went to fight in World War I and World War II and were not afforded GI bills, right? Like, I mean, I could go on and on and on and on.
Wait. Why are you pivoting? We're
pivoting.
talking about. I was talking to Nick when y'all muted me about
so here and this is
So
what
why
you're
are
doing
pivoting?
because you can't
Why are
find
pivoting?
because you couldn't find weaknesses in my argument. You tried to go to Nick's argument. Like, you're straw manning because you're not being intellectually honest.
This is a terrible debate tactic when you know you've lost.
Hold on, no,
when you start
straw
pivoting.
manning. Straw
When you
manning.
start pivoting and you start
No, that's what
overtalking,
you
pivoting,
did.
and muting. I was talking specifically to Nick about it, and now you've coming up with all kinds of different things.
Wait.
No,
I
those
just
were my
wanna say-
argument. Hold on, guys.
So
Hold on, guys.
You actually
Hold
are
on, guys.
getting roasted.
I'm not coming up with all types of different things. That literally is my argument from the beginning. Literally from the beginning. I said it the very first time. The very first time. So like I said, he's being intellectually dishonest yet again. I dropped Nick because he's making claims that Nick said, and he's trying to attack Nick because he thinks that Nick is the weakest link. And then this just shows, you know what I'm saying, how mediocre and intellectually inept he is. Period.
Also, he tried to call you guys uneducated when California, in fact, did have slaves. They were a free state, but slavery was rampant in California. How do I know? Because the American Civil Liberties Union of California says so. Yeah. Guess what? You're not the only one that's educated, hon.
He's
Let's
not
get it
educated.
together. Let's
Not
get it
educated
together.
at all.
Really quick question. Can I ask one really quick question?
Sure.
Hey, Lord, is segregation a crime?
Is it yes, it's a crime.
Hey, do white people benefit from segregation?
What if it's a crime? That means yes.
That wasn't.
Just get to your point. What's your point?
Did white people benefit from segregation?
What is your point? I already answered that. What's your point? Get to your point.
Answer it. You didn't answer.
Get your point. Get your point, player.
Well, no.
Come on, player.
Look at the microaggressions. Like, bro, just
Come on,
say you're
player.
racist. I mean, not that we don't already know, but just
Come on,
say you're
player.
racist. It just
Come
makes
on,
it
player.
easier for everybody.
Come on, player.
So
Get
did
to the
white
point.
people benefit from segregation? I didn't
Get
hear
to the
you.
point, player.
I mean, maybe it was the great gift going off.
This is
Hey.
how
Did
you
white
know
people
people
benefit
aren't
from
Come on,
segregation?
pal. Let him speak, pal. Come on, pal. Let him
Yeah.
speak.
It's gonna be all right.
He's feeling
All right.
uncomfy. Too many black people around him.
Yeah, no.
Get to the point, man. What's up, player?
I
Get to
just
the
want you
point.
to answer the question, bro.
I already answered, player.
I didn't hear you.
I already answered the player.
I didn't hear you.
I already answered it, player.
I didn't hear you.
Get to the point, player.
I didn't hear you.
Get to the point, player.
I didn't hear you.
Get
I
to
didn't
the
know. I
point,
don't know what you
player.
said.
Why are you guys so mediocre? Why?
I don't know. Like,
Hey,
Why?
you could be so much
I know
better.
let me
why.
ask you this.
Yo, Liv,
Let me
hold
ask you
on.
this.
Liv, hold on. I know what it
Hey,
is, Liv.
hey,
I know
let me
what it
ask-
is, Liv. I know what it is,
What
Liv.
what
Because
is
they
it?
had all the fucking advantages and still end up less intelligent, less attractive, and poor. And fucking poor.
Non-poor.
You ended up field whites.
and that's why
Imagine
you're
that. Ended up
Calm
field
down,
whites. Like,
kiddo.
that's what it is. It's a
Calm
field
down,
white.
kiddo. It's okay.
and that's why you get a knee to the back of your neck. That's absolutely why you get a knee
Calm
vaccine.
down,
Then
kiddo. Calm
that's why
down,
you in
kiddo.
I
jail,
guess
player.
that's supposed to
That's why you
incite
in
like
jail.
some type
Hey,
of a reaction out of me,
then you
as
get
if that's not been the
people like
history
Nick.
of black
Then you
people
get
the
people like
entirety of
Nick.
this country.
You get people like Nick who's willing to give himself up. Hey, Nick, let me ask you this:
He's gonna
Can
call
you
him a
go
race
have a
traitor
drink?
now.
Can you go have a drink on any bar on MLK Boulevard across the country at midnight? Huh?
Yeah.
Can you go have a drink at midnight?
Yes.
He
Have a
just
drink
randomly
Yeah,
said
I just
MLK
did last night.
Boulevard.
I know.
on any
He just
Hold
randomly
on,
put
because
that out
MLK
there.
any
Boulevard
bar.
is the place that there would be so much violence.
Any bar on MLK Boulevard, any city that has an MLK Boulevard or avenue, go have a drink at midnight.
Hey,
Let's see how
John.
that works
I
out
live
for
literally
you.
right around the corner from MLK
Let's see
Boulevard
how
in
that
Florida,
works out
and it's
for you.
nice as shit.
Hey,
Come on, Skippy. Skippy, you're being really microaggressive,
Hey,
Skippy. Let's calm it down, Skippy.
hey,
microaggression.
Jones.
All of
I
a
just went
sudden,
last
now it's
night
breaking down the
to MLK.
microaggressions.
Did you?
Had me some wings and some catfish. It was delicious.
Yeah, I have an MLK Boulevard literally right around the corner from my house, and it's nice as shit.
I'm sure you.
Bruh,
Hey,
even in garbage ass Pittsburgh, there's an MLK Boulevard and it's nice. In Pittsburgh, it's garbage, so that's saying a lot.
What he got clipped.
Yeah, he got clipped. Nobody booted him.
Did he?
Yeah, he got clipped.
Yeah, I didn't boot him.
The Click Clocks AI looks for people who are purposely antagonistic like that. Boost them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and that's what I'm saying. He had no points to actually refute, no sources to actually refute any of the evidence presented to them. Hey, Adorna, I'm glad you're here. What is that study where they were finding out what identification black people were least likely to have?
Oh,
so
it's
they could-
actual case. It's a Supreme Court case for North Carolina.
Yeah, because
I
he
can
said there
bring
was
it
no
up.
lawsuits filed. Why wasn't there
Yeah,
any
it
lawsuits
was
filed? So
literally
there
the
was a
same-
lawsuit
this-
filed.
Absolutely, the Supreme
Okay,
Court
gotcha. Tell
ruled
us
it.
about it.
Yeah, the Supreme Court ruled it unconstitutional. What was happening was that in North Carolina, the election officials they looked to see what IDs black people were least likely to have, and then required those IDs. So I know people keep saying, "Oh, it's so you guys are infantilizing black people by saying they can't get IDs." But what was happening was they were looking to see what IDs we didn't have today, then required those. So it's not we couldn't get them, but they were just like we didn't have them.
Oh, Neurotech, you put it in the Discord. I appreciate you. In addition to that, Liv, I know that you talk about this often, but what other measures and poll taxes are put into place to disenfranchise black voters?
Well, yeah, you have not only just the voter ID laws, but you have, like you referenced, the closing of polling stations, the removal, like in Wisconsin, of busing routes near polling location. You also have quite literally anything that creates a barrier that where individual has to pay, like for example, increasing the cost of these IDs. So on and so forth, is going to be a poll tax. Might as well ask us to count the jelly beans in a jar.
Hey, Adorna.
Yep. Hi. How are you?
Good morning. So a couple people in the comments and I are asking, what specific like ID do you mean? Like driver's license or like?
I'll look to see. Sorry, specifically, I know that military ID was one of them, but it could be any ID. It's just regarding which ones black people were least likely to have at the time.
Okay.
I'll look to see exactly which ones, though. I'll look it up right now.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And
Someone also put.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dil. No, go
Someone
ahead.
also put the study in the Discord. Someone said, so
Yeah.
I guess we could look at that also.
May I read something, Jones?
Absolutely, you may. And really quickly, let me just do a quick host thing. Hey, listen, guys, we should be well over 100K likes by now. Remember that we have to be active participants in the live. It takes a lot, and I do mean a lot of maneuvering for all of us to be present here in this live, especially me as a single dad every single morning. So at the very least, like I said, tap the screen and make sure we're being active participants. There's 750 people in here right now. Our daily goal is $470. If like a little over half of you sent $1 to my Cash App, which is right there, or any of the pay links, we could easily meet that goal for the day. Thank you so much for being here. Remember to drink your water. Remember to say kind things about yourself. And if there's medication you're supposed to take, remember to take your medication. All right, go ahead, Bo.
Wait, can I just say one more thing about the
Absolutely.
IDs though?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
do you think?
Sorry, but even if it was, I do think driver's license was one of them. But one of the things that we need to remember when people say things like it's so easy to get IDs is that Black people, for example, are more likely to live in a city where there's probably public transportation, so they're less likely to have a car and less need for an ID. In addition to that, the family wealth gap, is there, and so again, people that are making less money are less
State
likely to have a
IDs.
car. So it's not even necessarily the difficulty of getting an ID, but the likelihood that one might not have something like a driver's license because they don't need one if they're living in a city. So things like that need to be taken into account.
Yeah, my sister
That is,
didn't get her driver's license until she was like 20.
bruh. I mean, I've lived all over places where people don't have license. New York City alone, a lot of people don't have license at all because they're on the train all the time. They're on the subway.
No, ops are
But
absolutely welcome. Let them up.
Yeah, I
me
have a friend that doesn't have his license and it like confuses me, but he's like, I've used the train my whole life.
pretty much. Let me read this real quick, Jones.
Okay.
You're gonna like this. You ready?
Yep.
In October 1849, the first
Iman, thank you so
California
much.
Constitution.
Sorry, bro. Hey, yo, guys,
no.
big W Imanin in the chat for the $50 Cash App. I appreciate you tremendously. Thank you so much. Go ahead, sorry.
In October 1849, the first California Constitutional Convention was held. One of the most heated debates of the convention was on the status of slavery in the new state. While some Democrats who had come to California were staunchly in favor of giving official sanction to slavery in California, Northern abolitionists and white American miners who did not want competition from the slave holders in the gold fields were well represented within the ranks of the convention. Okay. Although California entered the Union as a free state, the framers of the state constitution wrote into law the systematic denial of suffrage and other civil rights to non-white citizens. Some authorities went so far as to attempt to deny entry of all African Americans, free and slave, to California. Slavery did persist in California even without legal authority. Some slave owners simply refused to notify their slaves of the prohibition and continued to trade slaves within the state. Numerous state trials ruled in the favor of emancipation. I can keep going if you want.
Thank you, Teresa, and thank you, Brenda, for the $5 Venmos. I appreciate your support.
The simple fact is, people like that are rampant in this country, and they don't care, and they know better. And the laugh, and Jones, like, nervous laughter. You know what that remind me of, Jones? That remind me of growing up in this Ojite suburb, where they would be dead out wrong, know they're wrong. I'll give you an example. I'm in the shower, minding my business, and they come to jump me. And they're laughing. And it was the same type of laugh he had.
Yeah. Now, I mean, listen, I'm not trained mental health professional or anything of that nature. You know what I'm saying? I'm never going to diagnose anybody online. But I've been active in this space for, quite some time, and not just online, but, boots on the ground. And I've had conversations with a lot of people of those very same opinions as him. Thank you, Jared, so much for the Cash App. And when people don't bring you any evidence in return, and all you hear is a laugh, and then say, "Oh, but you're being hyperbolic." And if you notice, he only tried to attack what he thought like the weakest points, which we would call a straw man. The weakest points in the argumentation were, he said, "Oh, it's because you're not allowed to pass out water," ignoring all of the other things that that I had mentioned. And then he wanted to attack Nick on reparations, ignoring all of the reasons that I gave him for reparations that had absolutely jack shit to do with slavery.
Yep.
So that's that. Hey, can we take a look to see Adrian? Thank you so much for the $5 Cash App. Appreciate your support. Can we take a look, Bone, and see who else we got waiting in the chat? I mean, in the request, because we have quite a few requests. That is opposition. That's opposition, and then I'm going to introduce Just Facts. Just Facts, good morning. How are you? Have you had some water and said something kind about yourself? Thank you, Tiffany.
all the time.
I'm
I
definitely
just wonder why have opposition up if you know you're not going to agree. Why have them up? I don't. This logic is shocking to me. That it's like I don't know. It's just so weird. You know you're not going to agree with them. You know they're going to say something disrespectful. They're going to say something disrespectful. And why would you want that in your life? Why would anybody want that in their life?
Sure. I'm going to answer that really quickly, and then I'm going to give others an opportunity to answer it as well. So first of all, I'm an educator, right? So I don't just educate on this platform, but I educate outside
So
of this
you went to
platform.
school for education? You have a degree?
I have multiple degrees, but they're not in education. And that's not
Oh,
the only way that you teach. You are aware of that, correct? Or no?
oh. So you're a TikTok
So,
educator. Okay.
no, as a matter of fact, I'm an educator. Here, I'll just show you.
Okay.
The microaggressions.
Oh, I know it was hard for you to just hush up
See that?
while two people were talking.
Your daughter, baby. I'm not your daughter, honey.
So that's
Let's try to have some respect here.
And I'm
that's
not equal to
you
you.
see that?
You're showing the
Yes, you're
aggression
below
right
me.
there.
You're
Yeah.
correct. You're
You're
below me.
showing the aggression right
You're
there, baby.
correct. You're below me. You're right. You're below me.
So anywho, right? So I'm an
Yes,
educator. I
you
teach
just did it yourself.
intersectionality. I teach diversity and inclusion. I've written the curricula, right, for multiple organizations, multiple massive organizations, and how to their hiring practices and how to have a more ethical and unified workplace. I've built out corporate expansion strategies. I've taught people sales strategies and marketing. So I mean,
But
you
yet
don't know
you're
a lot
on
about
here.
me. You don't know a lot about
But
me.
yet you're on here.
I write legislation. So the reason, right, that I come on here is because I have
Uh-huh.
5 children. I have 5 children, right? My oldest son, he's on the app, almost every day, and he is very well versed in the things that I discuss, right? I teach them these things so that possibly, quite possibly, we can eliminate the racism, racial bias, and bigotry that exists within our society, so that my younger children and my children's children no longer have to deal with these things. That's why I do it.
That's not up to us.
It's
It's all
absolutely up
about
to us.
it's not up to us. It's all about the power, and we don't have the power.
No, we
It's all
absolutely have
about
the
the
power. You're
people.
not going to
But
convince
the
me that I
people.
don't have the power. I absolutely
So
do. I
then, how
change
did he
minds
get?
constantly.
How did Trump get presidency?
What's
How
that?
did he get presidency?
Because
How did?
not enough people took it seriously. That's why. And because our social media and media organizations gave him way too much TV time, gave him way too much attention. But most
You're
most
giving him
people
a lot
don't.
of attention right now on
Bro, why?
TikTok.
Like, I let you talk and I don't interrupt you, but every time I start talking, you
You've
interrupt
been
me.
monologuing the whole
I have
time.
not
You're
been
showing me
monologuing.
degrees and all this stuff.
You
I'm just
literally
answering your questions. I can't. I can't. You're saying so many topics or so many things. I can't answer
You
them all.
didn't
I'm not
really
going to
even
write
say
it
that
down.
many things. Hey, thank you,
and you
Dan,
didn't
for the
ask me a question.
$15 Venmo. I appreciate your support. I
He's a
genuinely
grown man.
appreciate it that much.
Yeah, why are you here?
Wait. Oh,
To cry, it
What,
seems like.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just so uncertain because clearly people want to debate, and you're here to argue why people want to debate, or
the
it
first
seems.
thing he asked
Hold
me
on. Let
was,
me be clear. Let me be absolutely I only debate my intellectual equals, right? The rest, I'm teaching. The rest is merely a conversation. The rest is merely for you to learn something. And to be quite frank, Lord, nor you, Just Facts, happen to exist in that category. We don't even exist on the same plane.
It's also odd that he asked about whether you teach or not, and then just tried to condescend you, showing him proof that you teach.
and he
That's
showed it,
odd.
and he
That's
showed
odd.
it to
Yes,
me,
No.
he. Yes, the
and he
fact of
showed
the
it to
matter is,
me
yeah,
like
he
a
was answering.
puppet,
I don't care.
and he showed
He
it
was
to me like a
answering. I
puppet.
don't care. He was answering your question. You
Or
asked
from
a
a
question.
college
He was
show.
answering it, and then you got upset about him answering the question. That's so weird. Oh, that's Lucho. Okay, that's Lucho. I didn't know that. Yeah, and so the other thing is, yeah, there are multiple reasons why we
Yeah,
do this.
it's the
Yeah,
king. Yeah.
that's I don't. care. Yeah, there are multiple reasons why we do this. The first thing is that we have
Are
had
you having
discussions
trouble
with
talking,
people.
or
Yeah,
what's
just
happening?
facts.
Are you
Try
having
to act
trouble
like an adult.
speaking?
I know you wear a diaper, but let's try to act like an adult. Okay, all right. Yes, and so
I just
there are.
this is
Yeah,
all.
One
yes.
Calm
second.
You
Hold
can
on
down.
you
one
can calm
second,
down.
Adorna. Hey, listen. Hey, friend. I've made it clear that I
Relax.
made it clear that we are not going to overtalk people just for the sake of overtalking people. People were respectful enough to let you speak when you were attempting to speak, and you were going to do the same, or you're just not going to be here because I don't need you here. I legitimately don't.
Go
So
ahead.
either you're going to allow Adorna to finish, or you're just going to go. Okay, got it. So the next time you say anything, I'm just going to drop you while Adorna's speaking. Go ahead, Adorna.
Thank you. Yeah, there are multiple reasons why we do it. For people that are actually willing, that have opposing opinions, but are willing to learn, there are plenty of times where we actually do have conversations with people and they do learn new things they've never read about, things they've never studied, research they've never seen, and do sometimes end up changing their minds. But even if they don't change their minds, walk away with more information that they had, right? So they are more educated, in fact. And but separate and apart from that, even for the people that we know are coming up to be bigoted, like just facts. Even though they're coming up to be bigoted and we know the likelihood of changing their mind or them learning anything new or helpful is unlikely, the people in the comments section, there are like over 800 people here. People in the comments section do learn things from the information that's given. Lastly, I do have a question for Just Facts, though. I'm just going to call him Lucho because that name is just ridiculous, Just Facts. Yeah, so considering that you don't know me, you don't know my level of education, you don't know my career or like where I am in my career, etc. What made you think that we weren't equal? How would you know that we weren't? We've never had a conversation. How do you know we're not equal?
It's a good question.
That is a good question. I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow it up with another question.
No.
After
See,
I
hold on.
answer.
See how questions work. You were talking about
No, I'm gonna
education. I
answer
don't
your
know if you've had
question.
any. I don't think you've had education if you don't know
Oh,
that
I'm gonna
questions,
answer your
that when you
question. You're
ask
not
a
listening.
question, there's an
I'm
answer,
going
and then
to
after
answer
the
your
answer, yes,
question,
after the,
and
no,
then
no, 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 no,
after
no, no,
I'll
no,
ask a
no.
question.
After
Okay, that's
you
fine.
answer my
That's fine. Yeah, that's
question,
fine. Adorna, let him answer the question.
Well,
He
why,
said he
why
has a
can't
he
I
question.
wasn't
answer your
answering.
Go ahead.
question?
What?
Go ahead.
Wait, hold on. But what he said was, I'm going to follow that up with a question.
No, he said I'm
Yeah,
going to
what's
answer your
wrong?
question, then follow it up.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Um, no, we're all equal because we don't know each other. You're right.
So that sounds like it was just, I don't know, maybe racism? Because you
No.
assumed right off the bat that we're not equal when there was nothing to indicate that other than, than
When
the
did
fact
I
that
say
I'm
we
black.
weren't equal?
Other than the fact, the only thing that you know about me is that I'm black. You don't know
Let
anything else
me
about me.
ask
We've
you.
never
When did I
spoken,
say I was not equal?
but you automatically assumed that we're not equal. Why
When
would
did
that
I
be?
say that? When did I say that in this
You
conversation?
literally said it like 5 minutes ago when we were speaking. You said we're not equal, and I said you're right. You're below me.
Correct.
Yeah, yes,
No, 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 no,
correct.
no,
So you assumed that
no, no,
I'm
no.
not equal.
You interrupted and made a smarky remark
Yeah,
instead
I
of
didn't
saying,
interrupt. No one
no,
was
no,
speaking
you
when I
said a
made my
snarky remark.
great. Yes, I did. Hold on. I did say a snarky remark.
Yeah,
When
and I
hold
and
on.
I
Wait.
and I and I
When I first of all, I
and
didn't
I
interrupt.
talked
I didn't.
about it. And
Yeah,
I talked.
Lucho.
No, you asked me the question, and I'm answering it.
Sure, go ahead and answer.
Yeah, yeah. If you're intelligent enough,
Yeah,
I hope you took your
on
own
any
advantage.
day I'm more intelligent than you. On any
Yeah.
day.
Okay. So
Great.
listen, I said that because of the simple fact that you made a snarky remark. What part does that have to do with what I was talking to Dr. Jones about, even to you?
Dr. Jones. That's what it should be. Yeah, so listen, the snarky remark was just the snarky remark I said was that you don't have to be a teacher to educate. I'm not sure how that's snarky, because it's just a fact. It's true. And then in response to that, you said we're not equal. Can you tell me why that would be a response to you don't have to be a teacher to educate?
So you don't think Dr. John, I'm gonna call him Dr. Jones. You don't think Dr. Jones can handle his own conversation? That you have to.
This is a panel. This is a panel, and
Yeah,
so
I understand.
sometimes other people
Yeah,
have
but you
have
didn't. You didn't talk to
comments.
me though. You didn't say hello. You didn't ask me if I drink
Why
any
would hold on?
water.
I'm sorry. Why would I?
Nothing like that, right?
Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm also cute, but do I look like Dr. Jones? Right?
Y'all
I'm
are
not Dr.
wild.
I don't have to ask you. I don't have to ask you if you drank water. What? My name's Adorna.
You're part of the panel, correct?
Yeah,
Hey,
my name's Adorna.
You're not a
Dr.
you're
Jones.
not
Dr.
a positive
Jones
person.
asks. Dr.
You're
Jones
not a
asks if you
positive
drink water.
person. You're
Yeah,
not
I don't.
very
I don't
positive.
care. I frankly don't care if you drank water or
A
not.
very educational person would be
Yeah,
very
I don't.
polite.
Hold on. I didn't
You're
say
not
that
polite.
I
You already
educate.
judged me by making a snarky
That's
remark.
great. First of all, that's not snarky. That's just a fact, right? But in addition to
Yeah,
that,
just facts. That's my name.
yeah.
That's
In
my
addition
name.
to that, no, you so far haven't said any
Iman,
facts.
and
I
thank you
don't know
so
what you're
much for
talking
the
about.
$20 Cash App for I support Dr. Jones.
hey,
Dr.
Adorna.
Jones, I
If
want
I
to
go back,
TM
if
that
I go
for you.
back to school ever, it's because I'm going to get my Juris Doctorate. I'm going to get my law degree.
That's a good name, Dr. Jones. A good name.
Hey,
There is doctors in my family, multiples. I'm not one of them, though.
I just wanted to say the way
The ways in
Dr.
which.
Jones and Dr. Adorna Luke are calling this man a poor in so many different ways is amazing. I'm glad that I taught you guys this, that continue being classist to this race. It's also, hey, just facts. Are you Irish by any chance?
No.
No Irish in you?
Mm-mm.
Where do you come from?
He's going to say
Is that
American, and
is that
he's
important?
Latin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You're Latin?
I'm mixed.
What does that mean?
Bro, what does that mean?
I'm mixed.
Mixed
Mixed
with
race.
what? Are you a cat? A dog? A plant?
You know what I mean.
I have no idea what you mean.
Like,
I
what
am
does
black.
mixed?
I have
A
mixed
dog.
race parents, but I am black.
So you have mixed parents.
Yes, one of my parents, right? One of my parents is black, and my other parent is not black.
Were you born here?
In the United States?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you American?
I mean, but that's my nationality.
Okay, good.
Like I live on the continent of America or North America.
Yeah, same thing. I'm American. Is that okay? Is that
Sure.
cool?
But what he was asking you is what is your race and or ethnicity?
What does that have to do with the conversation?
Jesus Christ.
Seriously.
That's a
Stacey
fair
Cruz,
question.
thank you for the $40 for paging Dr. Jones. Y'all are too much. I appreciate you. Thank you, Stacey.
I do want to say that you did teach me something, though. You did teach me something. Next time my daughter is turning purple and not breathing, I'm going to call my mom.
I mean, I think that if you were
I'm going
in
to
a
call my
situation,
mom and have my daughter, baby. I'm going to call you. I'm going to call my mom, your grandma, and you're not going to supper until she gets here. Yeah.
Are you okay? What's happening right now?
yeah. So
Exactly
we were
his story.
experiencing when Hannah was born. We were experiencing
remember that
medical
story.
racism. I had asked several times for them to check Hannah's lungs for fluid, and they said it's fine. That she'll eventually cough it out, that she'll cry it out, and everything will be fine. My mom was en route. She was planning to come and see the baby anyway. And so because my mom is a white woman, and when I tell you my mom has mastered the art of Karen, I mean, like if there was a class taught on how, to Karen, my mom would like literally, she would be a doctor. And so I called my mom and I said, how far are you away? I need you to put your foot on the pedal. I need you to get here and speak to them because they're not listening to me. And my mom got there and talked to them. And within minutes, they took her to the NICU and she had to spend quite some time there. But had I not got my mom involved, there's a good chance. And had she not showed up, there's a good chance they would have continued to ignore me and we would have lost Hannah.
Well, you see, Dr. Jones, that makes sense, what you just said, right? What he said, however, was that if his daughter was just randomly, why are you speaking while I'm speaking? Can you try to act like an adult? Yeah, can you try to act like an adult? Can you act like an adult, Lucho? Lucho, act like an adult. Yes. What he just said, however, was that if his daughter was just randomly turning purple, he didn't mention being in a hospital or anything. So he could be at home and his daughter's turning purple. He would call his mom, which is a totally different.
Like, an hour after she was born or less.
Yeah, what he just stated though was a totally different scenario. That didn't make sense. Your scenario makes sense. If his daughter's just randomly turning purple, I would think he'd call 911. That just me though. But yeah.
Irregardless if it was at home or at the
Irregardless
hospital.
is not a word, friend.
What are you talking about? You're in the hospital. You think you know nurses are
His
more
suggestion
caring.
is that I got
Nurses are
arrested
more
instead.
caring people. You honestly think that every nurse in that hospital, in that room, anywhere in that floor, if would let this baby suffer? You honestly believe they would lose their license over that, or a doctor?
Yeah, there are
Yes,
You
it
plenty of
didn't
happens
do your
all the time.
studies.
best.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
there are
You
happens
plenty
all
of
the
didn't
time.
do your
studies.
best, sir. Sir,
There are
you
plenty
didn't
of
do your best.
Here, so
Black,
let's
Chinese,
look
white,
at the let's look at the data.
Mexican.
Let's look at the data.
It
So
doesn't
we don't
matter.
argue with fools. Let's look at the data.
Yeah, let's look at the data.
Let's look at the data.
Look at the data.
Yep.
So
What
your
about your
argument
story?
is
It's your
Lucho,
story. There's
Lucho. I
holes
just
in
want to
it.
make
I don't
sure.
It
live.
was a,
I don't
it
live
was a
in a place
pathetic
of anecdotal
way
stories.
to gain money, is what it was.
Lucho,
Pathetic.
okay.
Gain money.
I
I
just
didn't
want to
sue
make
anybody.
sure.
What is he talking about? I didn't sue anybody.
I just want to make sure that I'm getting this right. So you think that black parents just don't try hard
Thank
enough
you,
for their
Holly. I
babies?
appreciate you.
Is that what your argument is, Lucho?
Love the mute game.
No, I'm asking you a question. Are you insinuating that black parents are not trying hard enough for their babies and that's why they're dying
No,
in
I'm not. I'm
masses?
insinuating that this man on the screen that you are all listening to and trying to learn from didn't stand his ground to have his daughter that was just born to get any help. He could have went to every room. He could have went anywhere. He could, and if the security guard came, he would have understood too, or the security guard, woman or man, would have understood. He
No.
just called his mama and risked his daughter to lose her life. That's what I'm
Saved my
talking
daughter.
about.
Yeah,
You say
there was
because
a
you called your
study.
mom. You didn't do it yourself.
I did
Yeah,
what I
here's
did what I had
You
to do.
didn't do it yourself, sir.
Okay.
I don't care what's on the screen. I'm talking about you. Let's talk
Yes,
about
black
you.
babies and mothers are more
This
likely
gets
to
me
die during
furious
pregnancy
because
and
people
childbirth
like
than
you
other races.
shouldn't be trying to say that you're teaching
And
kids
so,
or teaching people about kids.
yeah. So, like nobody's listening to your grandstanding, bro. Like
It doesn't
nobody's
really
listening to
matter. I don't
your
care.
grandstanding.
The important part is
mortality and black infant mortality in African Americans
is important to me.
And it quite literally, this is from
Anybody
minorityhealth.hhs.gov.
wants
And
to know that you're a
HHS is
fucking
Department of Health and Human Services,
Paul.
Office of Minority Health. And so if we look at the
Call your-
mortality rates,
Never
look at
simple-
mortality rates for infants, right?
Gail,
Then we see that quite literally
when you're
black
at,
babies are
can't get a raise, call your mom.
3.75 times more likely to die in childbirth or specifically under the care.
you're a
of
piece of
white
shit,
doctors.
bro. You're a piece of shit.
Like there's not a single thing that you can say about me or what I did that is going to affect me or bother me, friend. Nothing.
Show.
Nothing.
Look at your moms are
Literally
afraid for me talking.
Yeah.
Your moms
May I
are
speak to
afraid
just
for me
facts?
telling
No,
the truth.
they don't like you talking
No,
while
they
I'm
keep
speaking.
muting me.
That's what the problem is. They don't want you speaking while I'm speaking.
Yeah, this is from the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science, National Academies of Science.
Science. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Science.
I'm talking about Dr.
Science. Oh, science. Yes. Yes. And what they state
Killing-
from 2020,
Was
and
it
what
me?
they state here is that under the care
Too.
of white physicians, black newborns experience triple the in-hospital mortality rate of white newborns or white infants. Yeah.
And up-
And so the thing is that these aren't opinions. I know you don't like opinions, and you're not one of the ones that's willing to be educated because you're just racist. But yes, these aren't things that we're making up. These are things that actual reputable science journals, medical journals, hospitals, medical schools. These are things that they state based on actual research.
They say you fuck.
And do we see how he's devolving? I just want everyone to notice how he's devolving here.
Coward is what
Yeah.
it
That's fine. When you learn to act like an adult, I'll let you back up.
And you scared him shitless with that science, I'm telling you.
Oh,
He said,
scary
oh shit, science! Science!
I think that should be our new Halloween costume this year. Petition to scare a bunch of MAGAs with like science books or something.
Right. Just chase him down the street with a science book. Hey, Kevin, good morning. How are you? Oh, I'm sorry. Kiara, my love. I'm sorry. Hold on one second, Kevin. Kiara, have you had some water and said something kind about yourself today?
I said something kind about myself. I'm better than a bigot. I'm smarter than a bigot, prettier than a bigot. And I do come on this panel every day to yell at bigots. That's my purpose. I'm not educating. I'm just doing my pregnancy rage.
Gotcha. I just want, if there's any nurses or people work in the medical field, you know what I'm saying, that have any other anecdotal stories that they'd like to share about, medical racism, I'd be more than happy to let you up. Just raise your hand in the chat, and I'll bring you up. Kevin, good morning. How are you? Have you had some water and said something kind about yourself?
I have had water, and I tell you, after listening to Mr. Fax, I feel a lot smarter. Because man, what he was spewing is just, I apologize about the sirens.
That's okay.
Was just incredible, and I actually came up to speak to Mr. Fax because I find it ironic that his name is Mr. Fax, when indeed, one, he wasn't speaking facts, and two, he was so opposed to you speaking to people who may not agree with you, actual facts to educate them. Honestly, he should have been saying thank you for the willingness to speak to people who oppose you, because the fact of the matter is that it is not the job of black people to educate people, white people, about racism, because black people did not create racism. It was white that created that system of racism. So yeah, this guy was an idiot.
Can we give? Hold on 1 second. 1 second. I have to read this. Thank you, Jen, so much for the $100 Venmo. W Jen in the chat. Jen wants to know if I make house calls. It's going to cost more than $100. I'm pricey. Oh man, that's funny. W Jen. Kevin, thank you so much for coming up, friend. You're welcome back anytime. I have a bunch of people waiting in the request.
I appreciate it. I always love speaking and hearing from you. You guys have a great night.
All right,
great
man,
day.
have a good one. Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, everybody's got a price. Everybody's got a price. Black Historian, good morning. How are you? Have you had some water and have you said something kind about yourself? Hey, Jen, you made my morning with that one, though. I'm going to be honest with you.
Good morning. Yes, I've had my water. Said something kind about myself. How's everybody on the panel this morning?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. I came up to speak to that person that was up here. What he did was exactly what those nurses do. When we're trying to talk, they try to overtalk and justify what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a person of color who've experienced medical racism, which a lot of us probably have and didn't know it was medical racism until maybe a few years ago. I've experienced it as a kid, but I was 14 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
In the hospital, they didn't know what was wrong with me. Like 4 doctors came in at like 2 a.m. I'm all drugged up and told me I had a venereal disease. And I told them I didn't. I was like, I'm a virgin. And they was like, stop lying. Who was the guy? And I was like, I'm a virgin. Blah, blah, blah. And, and they just hammered me and called me a liar, said I was lying to them, said that, you know who the guy is, you tell me who the guy was. Do you think I told my parents that?
No, of course not.
No, because I knew what my dad would do to them. Mm-hmm. And my mother would do to them. So it turns out that I had a kidney infection that was hereditary. So do you think any of them came in and apologized to me?
Of course not.
No.
Yeah.
And you did what you had to do.
Yeah. This is the thing, though, which bothers me the most is like, we understand that Black, brown, indigenous people like him even, right? And shit, listen, if Trump gets reelected and some of y'all happen to be have birthright citizenship, I feel sorry for you, because you allowed this shit, right? But with that being said, like quite literally, you cannot continue to say people have a victim mentality when they are currently being victimized by the system and there's data to substantiate it, unless, right? unless you can refute the data. If you can't refute the data, then you just need to stop using talking points because it makes you look stupid. As I don't remember who it was that came on earlier that says all of the conservative movements, all of the fascistic and right leaning and hateful, bigoted movements that have ever existed, right, ultimately end up failing. Now, I know you guys dig yourself right back up out of the trenches, and you have to fight uphill, me boys. Isn't that what your guy said? But yeah, you guys are always on the wrong side of history every single time. Do you ever get tired of being wrong? Like, you are the victims, literally. You are the victims. You're the victims of your own idiocy. You're the victims of propaganda. You are the victims. And you also have the victim mentality because you believe that people that are more educated than you are trying to shove things down your throat. And with all the things being supposedly shoved down y'all's throat, I hope you have some lozenges.
And you did what you had to do. It's not, you called your mother because you knew exactly what was happening. Medical racism.
I knew it
They
was going
weren't
to get the
listening.
job done.
Yeah. So for him to say that shit was absolutely disgusting and inhumane. Talking about if that lady was racist, nurses aren't caring. Some of them get into the in that profession for the money. All nurses aren't caring. Some of them have horrible bedside
Oh, yeah,
manners.
we saw that during COVID.
Yeah.
We saw that during COVID. Nurses that did not want to, like agree to the mask mandates. Nurses that did not want to, who were going out and telling people not to get vaccinated as if they are qualified to speak on these things. We saw this.
That's what I was going to say. Sometimes people can cause harm just out of ignorance, like literal dictionary definition, ignorance, not knowing better, not educated on a topic. It doesn't have to be malice. It doesn't have to be malicious intent or hatefulness. They really can believe what they're stating, but still cause harm.
Absolutely. 1000%. MB, good morning. How are you? Have you had some water and said something kind about yourself this morning?
I have. Thank you, Jones. And it's an honor and a privilege to be up here with you. I watch you a lot, and you're an amazing educator, and I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That means a lot.
I am a NICU nurse, and it hurts me a lot to hear about your experience. I think that is reprehensible. I will say that as someone who's been a nurse for over 30 years, we were not taught back then how to understand inherent bias and make sure that we are aware of those things to be able to overcome that. And that's a problem. We are now, as a nurse educator, we are starting to teach nurses to be aware of that, but we have a long way to go. And I appreciate you highlighting the problem and the issue so that we can address it. And as a white nurse, I will readily admit that there have been a lot of biases that I have had to address and overcome. And I am a work in progress, and I will keep trying to do better every day.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And that's all you can do. And that's all you can do. And that's what I feel like that's what I'm trying to say to people on a regular basis. Hey, listen, I know you didn't know this, and it's not your fault. And I don't think that you're stupid or unintelligent or unable to grasp these concepts, right? Unless you were presented with the new information, and then you're saying, well, you know what? I reject it because I don't want to believe it, because I don't want to admit that I've been wrong. And so you let your pride get in front of your reasoning. And then you complain that you have to keep hearing these same things over and over again. Well, as a wise man once said, lessons continue until learned.
Yeah. I have to say, to me, one of the biggest solutions to this problem is more Black nurses, because the things that I have learned the most over the years have been from my Black nurse colleagues. And so if we can encourage more Black men and women to go into the field of nursing and to make them, get them in positions to become educators and help us to become more diverse and more aware, that will go a long way towards solving this problem. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe we'll have also the Black woman on the panel say what like to there's surely a lot of like healthcare workers in this life now. Like what can especially the white ones do to combat this systemic issue? Like Adorna, Shay, Kim.
I mean, for me, it's just I speak a lot about implicit bias, and for me, it's just recognizing that even though you feel as though you may not have biases, that I mean, most of the times, a lot of times, they're subconscious. And so, if you recognize, hey, there might be some biases I have them unaware of, you'll look out for them more. You'll double check to make sure you're treating people as they should be, that you're not using certain terms, you're not putting certain things in people's charts. You'll look to see, like, to kind of double check yourself. I think that would be really helpful. Also, I have to drop, but I'll be back in a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Adorna. Adorna, we're gonna at 10-ish. We're probably gonna hit a restart. So, but yeah, I see you. I did not do a daily affirmation, but I will here in just a moment. Hey, Kim. Good morning. How are you? Have you had some water and said something kind about yourself?
Good Monday morning, everyone. Yeah, I've already had about 6 bottles. This is hot as hell in New York. I've been drinking all night and going to the damn bathroom because of how much I'm drinking. So I'm well hydrated. I just wanted to say one thing when it comes to medical racism. One of my experiences that I had was also when I had my daughter. But it was a little bit different. So my daughter was, I had my daughter because my father had a heart attack that morning. He literally sent me into labor. I was 2 weeks late, and he sent me into labor. I didn't think I was in labor. I just had like one pain, and my mother was like, "Let's just go check you out." You know, we were casually walking in there. And when I got undressed, they were like, "Yeah, so you're 8.5 centimeters dilated." I was like, "Oh." So we literally had to rush. Now, during that time, I was also experiencing like a respiratory cold. And I don't know if anybody has ever had to wear like the mask over your mouth and nose for like oxygen or whatever. It's not really comfortable. So going through labor, I had it, but I kept like tossing it off because it was like annoying me because everything annoys you when you're trying to have a baby. So when I had her or whatever like that, you know, and she was a large one, when I had her, they told me that her lips and around her eyes started turning blue. So I didn't get to see her right after I had her. They literally rushed her out of the room, right? So I didn't get to see it. They just told me, you know, that she was turning blue or whatever like that. I go upstairs. They told me they had her in a NICU, whatever like that. I go upstairs. They're just making sure I'm okay. My mom leaves. She went to go home and also to call the hospital to check on my father because he was at another hospital. And she was going to come back because she said, "I'll just stay with you tonight." Because Kim's father was out of town. So I said, okay. I came in, I think probably about 3 hours after I had her. I had a doctor and 3 nurses come into the room and start like literally barking at me. I had her at 11:45 at night. So this is like 2, 3 in the morning that they're doing this. They started questioning me about drug use and stuff like that. They was like, "What kind of drugs have you used during your pregnancy?" I was like, huh? So I was an athlete, right? I was 21 when I had her. So I was a full athlete. I played athletics in college. I was like, I don't do drugs. I was like, when I have a headache, I go to sleep. I was like, my mother makes like these remedies. Right. I was like, my mother makes remedies from like onions and stuff like that for other stuff for colds. I was like, I don't take medicine. That's not me. And they was like, nope. They was like, because your daughter, she was very blue around the lips and around the eyes and her fingertips. And we only see that around babies that are, you know, have come into the world from somebody using drug use. I was like, I ain't never used drugs a day in my life. Now, I'm pissed off at this point, right? Because it's 3 in the morning. I just had a child. And plus, I'm also worried about my daddy. So I'm sitting up there loud as hell. I ain't give a damn who on that floor was sleeping. Because I was pissed. And my mother's coming around the the hall, and she hears it. And she's like, "Why the hell is my daughter yelling?" And she comes in the room and she's looking at these nurses and doctors like glaring at me just sitting there questioning me like they're the police. And my mother's like, what's going on? I said, Ma, they think I use drugs or something like that because she was turning blue or whatever. I was like, I keep trying to tell them I had a respiratory cold and I just could not breathe really good. And she was like, I was like, they're not believing me. She was like, if y'all don't get out of my daughter's room right now, she was like, this whole hospital is going to go through hell. Because I was like, how do you just blame somebody and say that it was drugs? Like off the bat,
I know,
you
that's
just
wild.
said it's drugs. I was like, ain't no way that they're going to sit there. They would have sat there and did that if it would have been a white woman doing that. You automatically came and assumed that I used drugs because of that. Like babies' lips could turn blue for any reason if they lose any type of oxygen.
Yeah, I actually am I'm currently in the whole prenatal phase, so I'm taking a bunch of birth classes, and that is literally one of the things that they said that it's like super normal and that can occur, that the baby's lips and limbs can turn like slightly purplish and blue. And that can just occur for a lot of reasons. And it's usually not even super concerning unless it's associated with like a bunch of other symptoms as well.
Yeah, but they just would not listen to me at all. So much to the point that I didn't know, but later on I found out that they actually gave my daughter a spinal tap 8 hours into her being born.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of stories like that. And bro that was on here is like, I did it for money. I didn't sue them. You know, my Hannah went through NICU. She was fine. She's thriving now. So we moved
Yeah,
on.
it's like so funny too. It's so out of touch. Like, how does it turn out for Black people that are trying to sue too? Like, go ahead and look into it because I was actually interested. They're less likely to win a lawsuit too. Shocker.
Right.
So why would they subject themselves to that just to lose against like huge privatized hospitals that have like so much resources for lawyers? Like,
Oh, they will definitely go
And
into
we
their whole
almost didn't
history.
have Izzy at that same hospital for that reason, because Izzy was born the very next year. But so Hannah was born in January at the beginning of the year, and Izzy was born in December at the end of the next year. And so like we were going to find a new hospital because I was like, yo, I'm not going through this again. What we went through with Hannah, but luckily, it worked out for the best. And come to find out, the reason is because they were both born by C-section. When you're not birthed through the vaginal canal, oftentimes it doesn't push all of the fluid, up and out as you're going through. Like that's one of the things that happens as the baby passes through the vaginal canal, and so. That's
The crazy thing when I had my daughter, because I thought the same thing, Mr. Jones. I said if I had another child, I was like, I would never do it there. The crazy thing, though, was where I had my daughter was my backup hospital. So the hospital that I was going to, right, my father went there. That's where he went. That's where they took him after he had the heart attack. And that one is like a 20-minute good drive. And we have a hospital that's like 10 minutes from me. I just wasn't going to have her there because they're not as big of a hospital. And I knew the other hospital that I was at has a huge, they have a huge center just for maternity ward and stuff like that. It's a beautiful hospital. So that's why I was there. But I had also went there to register for emergency purposes because it is close to home. Because they tell you, in case of emergency, blah, blah, blah. So that was the only reason that I went there. And I was like, I wish I would have just been like, Mom, because I didn't think I was in labor. So that's why I didn't want to drive to the other hospital. I'm like, I'm not in labor, Mom. I was like, there's nothing wrong with me. I was like, that was just a small pain in my back. And she was like, no, you're already late. Let's just go get it checked out. I'm already up. And I was like, okay. But I would have took the 20-minute ride if I'd known that that was the experience I was going to have.
I hear you. Mr. Thomas, good morning. How are you? Have you had some water and said something kind about yourself? Hey guys, listen, we only got $209 left in our daily goal. Thank you for all of those who've already contributed. There's 750 people in here. So if like less than a quarter of you sent $1 to either Cash App or any of the pay links in my bio, we'd hit that goal. It allows us to continue to host these spaces for you every morning. Today's daily affirmation is: today I am persistent. Today nothing will stop me from accomplishing my goals. Nothing will stand in the way of my happiness. That is today's daily affirmation. Today I'm persistent. Also, some positive news, some good news. I'm going to be featured in a few magazine articles coming up. So as soon as those articles go to print, I'll let you guys know. And for those who are in my Discord, you'll see them in there. So I'm going to be in at least 2 this month. At least 2 this month. But there's more coming than just those 2.
So is it Dr. Jones or?
No, just Mr. Jones. Kristen,
okay.
Thank you for the $5 Cash App. I appreciate your support. Go ahead, go ahead, Mr. Thomas. I was gonna say Dr. Thomas.
Oh no, that's fine. I actually go by Dr. Mr. Thomas. So, anyways, yes, happy heavenly morning, everybody. And yes, I had Nancy give me my water, and she said something nice about me as always. I really want to thank you, though, Jones, for that, because that is such a good idea to wake up to my wife handing me some water and telling me I look good today. I mean, since we've implemented that into our marriage, I feel like things have gotten much better, at least on my end. So, thank you for that.
Do you do the same for her?
So I came up originally to talk about the topic. So black people can't be racist. See, I have experienced racism, right, as you know. And honestly, some of it was from you. So there's that. And
Bro, I was racist towards you.
Yes.
How?
Oh, so you gonna act like you don't remember Darkwone? Okay, we'll go through it again. Okay. So what
My
happened?
name is Mr. Jones, not Darkwone.
That's okay. Well, until I see a birth certificate, we'll see. Anyways, so I've experienced racism. Right? I was called, an expired cracker dust. I've been called.
I didn't call you none of that.
You did. You called me a half melted inbred marshmallow. That's what you called me. And somebody said, they was talking about my skin color, saying, "Oh, I look like a ghost that's seen a ghost," or, "Oh, yeah, that's what they said. They said, oh, you're so white, you look like a ghost that just seen a ghost," or, "Oh, you look like a dripping runaway cum sock," or, "Oh, you look like, you look." Okay, so this is funny to you. Okay, so my pain is funny to you. You know that one time. Remember?
No, I just have a question. How did any of those statements, comments, jokes, how did any of those change like your material conditions or your position within our society within this hierarchical structure?
Well, I mean, I can tell you an experience that directly affected me within society.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Lori.
I was just walking. You remember this, right? I was walking down the street and I ran into, what I could only assume to be a blood in the crib. You remember that? Do you remember this? It's all coming back to you now. Okay. Yes, right. So I ran into.
Wait, I just want to make sure, Mr. Thomas. Like, how do you know that they were part of the gang?
Because they had one was wearing blue and one was wearing red.
So you do remember the story. You do remember the story. And they was throwing up gang signs at each other, okay? They was having a gang sign war. And I, as a good citizen and a former police officer, I thought, okay, let me step in, okay, because I want to help. So I said, hey, what's going on? Y'all okay? Let's not do this gang war in the middle of the street. And the gang sign war. And one of their friends came.
Did they do the crit walk?
They was doing something, okay, and then they wasn't, they was not responding to me. So their friend came up and they stopped me in my tracks and huffing their chest, saying, "Oh, they're just deaf." Okay, first of all, I think I would be able to recognize gang signs as a former police officer. Okay, so please step back, right? I just tried to tell them, please step back and calm down, okay. And then they got all mad. They started calling me a honky and, cracker jack and all of these things, right? and then they started throwing rocks at me. And the rocks, they wrote on the rocks. They said, "Give me 1 second." They pulled out some rocks. They just had them. They didn't even take them off the street. They had them already. So I think they was planning this. They set me up, honestly. And on the rocks, they said other white slurs as they chucked them at me.
What kind of other white slurs? And first of all, they were deaf, so I'm pretty sure that was sign language that you were seeing. So what are these other white slurs?
Allegedly, Dave. Allegedly. It's not been confirmed. I still believe it was a gang sign war, but it's neither here nor there. At the end of the day, they still threw slurred rocks at me.
What is a slurred rock? I've never heard of anything like this before in my life.
It was a rock with slurs on it, a slurred rock. It's just basic English.
What would these slurs on the rocks?
It was not, like the things I said, honky, cracker jack. They said one of them just had a picture.
So hold on, you mean to tell me these folks is carrying rocks around with racial epithets about white people?
Yes, they had it
Can
ready.
we order these on Amazon? Let me look this shit up.
Wow. You see, I told you. You see, you hear it here from Jones, from Darkwan Jones first himself. He
If we
said,
can order them, right?
I'm gonna order a rack of them.
Can't listen because Jones, I don't know if you saw. Did you see that in Nashville? The U-Haul boys were back out.
No way.
Yeah, they were back out in full force, like a whole gang of them. Like really, they came in. I think it was 3 U-Hauls. But my thing that I was getting pissed off is that I'm seeing so many people videoing. Like people video them sitting. I'm like, why don't y'all do like New York and Philly did? We ain't let them run. When they started walking, people ran up on them. Like, y'all need to stop letting them walk freely and video record them. But if you got rocks that got some slurs on them,
I can only find rocks with nice stuff on them. Maybe I need to buy an engraving machine.
Listen, let me get.
Out of this.
I'll go get a book bag real quick, right? Real quick.
okay,
Call them bigot bangers.
wow. So see, this is what happens when an innocent Christian white man tries to come up here and share their experience. Everybody just makes a mockery of it. Everybody just laughs at it. Because that is what always happens. There was another time that I was at the grocery store with Nancy. And this was earlier on, I was still courting her, so I actually spent time with her. And there was,
So I actually spent time with her. It's crazy.
So,
It sounds like Mr. Thomas was in Nashville. I'm just trying to find out.
I give up.
Listen, your baby was telling on you. Your baby said, I'm gonna tell on mommy right now.
Sorry. Oh my God. The comments were taking me out. I had to go on mute.
Slurred rocks is crazy town. Like legit, slurred rocks is nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man, bigot bangers would be a great.
Can we please get an emote that says slur rocks? Please.
Hey Jones, I'm gonna thank you again. I'm gonna drop.
I appreciate you.
Seems like my part of the conversation is gone, so
Yeah.
I'll let the box for others.
Real quick before you restart, just wanted to let some of the medical professionals in the chat start listening to Black people, especially when we say we're in pain, and don't say, "Oh, you're just hollering to be hollering." We're actually in freaking pain. Just listen to us when we tell you about the symptoms and don't just brush them off. I've had that happen to me a number of times, and I'm
the
like,
vast majority of us don't want pain medication.
no. And I'm like, you know what? If you're not gonna listen to me, I'm just gonna go get another doctor, complain to my provider to you, and if I have enough time, write the medical board. because
Most
you're there for me. I'm paying you.
most of us sit in pain. Most of us will sit there
Yeah.
in some form of pain because of the fact that we're so programmed to know that when we say that we're in pain, it's ignored. Like I remember when I was first diagnosed with the whole kidney thing, they kept telling me, they said, if you're in pain, let me know. And I was like, okay. And I remember the first time that I really had real pain at night, it was so uncomfortable. Like no way that I shifted, eased it. And I called for the nurse and she said, okay, I have to call for the doctor to get it, whatever like that. It took like 2 hours. I understood because it was nighttime and I was like, all right, get it, whatever. But he just came, he was just like, give her a Tylenol.
Yeah.
I was like, bro,
Experience.
I got Tylenol in my pocketbook. If that's all I was gonna get, you could
I
have told
keep
me
looking
that.
myself
Hey,
right.
Kim, you making us look old now. You just said pocketbook.
What?
She sure did say pocketbook. And then experienced it twice when a doctor told me to sit in bleach in my bath water, and I knew that was crazy. So I called everybody I could on. This was before internet, y'all. So y'all know I'm old. So I had to write and look up shit and ask people. Look in my book that I got and write people about because he told me to sit in bleach. And that was for a vaginal bacteria infection, which is what is it called? BA, which everybody gets.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
a
told me to
old.
sit in bleach. Wouldn't prescribe me anything, just to sit in bleach. I'm like, this one is crazy. Why would I sit in bleach and bleach hurts my hand when I
I was
when
about
I
to say I'm
accidentally
allergic.
spill
So.
it? Yeah. The other one was when I had the kidney infection and I was peeing blood. And I called the doctor and told him that you're not peeing blood because if that's so, blah blah blah. And I was like, I know what my pee looks like. I pee every day. I drink a lot of water. It's clear. I went to the emergency room and they admitted me. The doctor, that was the only time the doctor apologized to me. He said, well, I guess you knew you were right. There was blood in your urine. So I'm sorry about that.
That's crazy.
But still, yeah, I'm calling you, telling you this. I shouldn't have had to go to the emergency room.
Right. Okay, so you're allergic to bleach too? That's crazy.
When I
Um,
was given, oh, never
Hold
mind.
on. I
Sorry.
just wanted because Phoenix been up here for a minute and I
Yeah.
didn't acknowledge them and I apologize. Hey Phoenix, good morning. How are you, friend? Yes, water said something kind about yourself.
Morning. Yeah, I'm drinking coconut water this morning. Don't yell at me, but I have to. I just wanted to tell some of you or whoever is listening that here in Montana, I guess I didn't know like how bad. I knew what medical racism was prior to moving here, but when I got here, like through our travels just getting here, I got sick somehow, like really sick. So sick that I had to stop in 2 different states to go to the ER. Yeah, so forgive me if I like my nervous laughter, I get really bad anxiety.
You're
But
fine. You don't have to explain.
I know. But when my voice is quivered, I'm not crying, so just so you guys know. But when I got here, we went straight to the ER, and okay. When I got there, the ER doctor came in. He asked me what was wrong. I was sweating. I had a fever. I was hurting. I just felt really bad. And I was trying to tell him all the things that were wrong with me. My boyfriend was there. I guess they deal with a lot of, and that doesn't make it different in any other state, but I guess they deal with a lot of people going there and withdraw. And I guess the big thing here is meth. But clearly that's not what was happening to me. And the doctor he was white and he was older, but he was just an awful person because he asked me to take my clothes off. And while I was doing that, I guess I wasn't going fast enough for him. So he walks over to me and he he says something to me, but I'm like out of it, you know, like I've had a fever. I'm literally out of it. I'm just trying to keep my wits about me at all. So he says something and I don't respond like fast enough, or, you know, so he flicks me in my fucking head multiple times while I'm trying to get my clothes off, and my boyfriend's helping me, and my boyfriend sees this, and I'm looking at the doctor like, what did I possibly do that made you feel like you could flick me in my head? You know, like, just like, come on, you know, he did it like that. And my boyfriend, when he spoke up, it literally got so bad, and I started crying, that my boyfriend, like, started yelling at the doctor. And the doctor I guess he got scared, so he went and got the police. And they almost took my boyfriend away that night, just for trying to stand up for me. And as it turns out, he kept saying, oh, what are you on? He kept saying, what are you on, drugs? Are you in withdrawal? And I was like, no, I just don't feel good. And it turns out that I had pneumonia. And ever since then, it is a struggle every single time I go to the hospital. That's not the only thing bad that's happened, but that one sticks out the most to me because that happened as soon as I got here.
That's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, and
Listen, I wouldn't be around to talk to you guys if somebody had flicked my partner in the head at the doctor's office. I wouldn't be around to talk to you guys about it.
he almost, listen, I had to beg Nate. I was like, babe, I grabbed him right by his arm, and I was like, please don't leave me. And I didn't mean like, don't leave this room. I meant like, you're just gonna have to stop whatever you're doing right now, because I'm too scared to be in this place without you. Right. So I was like, please don't leave me. And he understood, you know. It was really hard for him to calm down, because he's never seen anyone treat me like that, you know, especially not a healthcare professional. So every time I go to the hospital or even the doctor now, if I don't bring my white boyfriend with me, I will not get heard. I will not get proper meds. I won't even be taken seriously. And my motives, even when I'm just sick, are always questioned. So for people who say that medical racism doesn't exist, please explain all that to me then. Because that never happened to me in Atlanta, not once. And it also, I mean, I guess it happened sometimes when I lived in Florida, but it was never so
blatant.
Just, yes, like that scared me too, because I was like, this is where we just moved. Like, oh my God, you know? So I just, yeah. I'm in fear. Like, I'm literally in fear living here that if I get really sick, these people might unalive me. And that's a really shitty thing to have to like think about all the time. But the reality is that I am not in a position where I can just move. And there are no black doctors here. There are no black nurses. I would drive. I'm to the point now where I'm ready to drive. Like, if I have to drive 2 hours to have a black woman doctor, I'm gonna do it. Because yeah, these people, they don't care, and it's very much bootstrap mentality. Even at the psychiatrist, it's awful. So I don't know. That's my first time like really ever talking about that, and it kind of feels good to get it out. So thank you for listening.